graduated from Smith in 1980. Everybody knew Betty Friedan, Gloria Steinem, Bella Abzug. They were all well known to me and all of my friends. So I was really surprised in August of this past summer when I read an article quoting a president of HBO that said she was making a documentary about Gloria Steinem because she'd walked down the halls at HBO and she had asked the questions of the younger people there, and, quote, half the kids didn't even know who Gloria Steinem was. Wow, I couldn't believe that. So I did my own research. I asked my manicurist, 20-something. No clue. I asked my summer intern, a Latin school graduate, lovely person, first in her family to go to college. She's at Wellesley. She sort of thought maybe she knew who that was. I think she had something to do with the women's movement. But you know, Mrs. Sharp, I haven't taken women's studies yet, so I'm not really sure. Yikes. So I asked I reached even younger, to my daughter, Catherine, Kat, as she's now going her novel. And Catherine did a little better. She was like, I think I know that name, and I think she did something with the women's movement. Maybe younger women don't know who Gloria Steinem is because the issues of the 70s and 80s are no longer relevant to their lives. Maybe things are so equal now that something like the women's movement doesn't really matter anymore. So I looked at women in law, women in politics, and women in the judiciary to see what the facts and figures were. When I went to law school in 1980, about 67% of my class were men and 33% were women. Trust me, it was a nice change from being at Smith College. I kind of feel sorry for the women who are going through law school now since it's almost equal. 53% men and 47% women, so almost half and half. According to the American Bar Association statistics, in 1980, out of all the licensed attorneys, only 8% were women. For now, and the stats are from 2010, the ABA reports that almost 32% of all licensed attorneys are women. So, you know, there's some that don't get licensed, some that don't continue, but, you know, it's gaining, that's good. All right, let's think about women in politics. A lot of lawyers become politicians. In 1980, approximately 12% of all legislators in the U.S. were women. By 2010, the number was 24.5%. Not even a third yet. In 1980, there were a total of 18 women in Congress. That's it. 2 in the Senate, 16 in the House. In 2010, there are 94 women in Congress, 17 in the Senate, and 77 in the House. But that still means only 17% of Congress are women. So that statistics didn't move up too much. So here's a brighter spot, women in the judiciary. I certainly remember, and probably many of the women lawyers in this room remember, being like the only woman lawyer in the room, and not many women judges. And that, fortunately, has changed. In 1980, they say, 5% of sitting judges were women. Now, about 30% of the judiciary, both in state court, federal court, and the appellate court levels, are women. And think about the Supreme Court. So now we have about a third women, with 3 women justices in the U.S. Supreme Court. Okay, finally, let's get down to brass tacks. Money. How do we stack up with money? All right? Are women getting paid the same as men? Should we forget about Gloria Steinem because everything's so great there? No. I'm sure you've read all the reports that I have that say women make 70 cents on the dollar to men. The bottom line is, the numbers are better than they were 30 years ago, although I think these facts and figures make a compelling case that we all need to be more mindful and more proactive and more vocal about the women's movement. The train has not arrived at the station. Women still need to be asking, in my opinion, are we there yet? And after traveling for 30 years, my question is, why aren't we? That's a long time to be on the train. And what can we do about it? So I started thinking over the summer about what I could do. I don't need to burn a bra, I don't need to march down the street, but there's things that I can incorporate into my own life that I think would be very helpful and proactive for women. Number one, start being more mindful. There's actually actually a very steady pro-women view that's promoted in the news. So when you start looking, you actually will see a lot of very pro-women articles. Talk to your friends, talk to your families, talk to your daughters or your younger people in your life. Let them know who Gloria Steinem is. Talk to them about these issues. Get LinkedIn, get connected. I think being able to take advantage of social media and learning more about issues and reacting to them is extremely important. My third suggestion is something I'm going to do, which is spend more time mentoring younger women. We can all think of somebody younger who can benefit from our sage advice. I look around this room and I'm so proud to call you all my friends. This is an amazing blockbuster group of women. So just think of the impact that you can have on somebody else's life. Support your friends and other women in business. There are a number of women in this room who have started their own businesses. Finally, tell me how I can help you grow your business, refer people to you. Don't be afraid to ask for business from other people. Women are generally very receptive to things. And study again will say, well, women don't know how to ask for things. Well, guess what? Everybody in this room is pretty pushy, okay? We know how to ask, and we're going to keep asking. So, and I hope that you will do what you have done for me, which is keep me in mind. If you have somebody who you think I can help, please refer them to me. If I can help you, let me know. Again, I think it's very important for us to be supportive of other women in business, in medicine, or whatever the professions might be. So I'm glad to say that I still think that there is a very steady pro-women drumbeat that you can hear. You can hear and see it in the news. It changes public opinion. It opened doors for women. And right now I think sort of anything is possible. I realized that I was worried about the women's movement being dead. But then it dawned on me, I just wasn't listening closely enough for the heartbeat. Thank you for coming.